Hello, beautiful friends and family. Okay, so I'm going to tell you right now that the videos for my weekend in Brussels are going to be like the ones for my weekend in Paris where it randomly cuts me off. Anyway, so um, where I left off with the trip to shoot. Tankot Cemetery and Ypres. I did not tell you about those. Okay, so Tankot Cemetery was kind of depressing, but interesting also. All the graves had their own like plants, like planted flowers in front of them, and it was beautiful. It was really pretty. It was just strange because we don't do that in the States. But yeah, it was really really nice, and it's out in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by like cow pastures, and so the smell is kind of interesting, but the cemetery itself was really really neat, and I'm glad that I went. I don't think I would go again because it's depressing, but I'm glad that I went anyway. So then after that, we went to the city of Ypres, which was there's big battle stuff there, World War I stuff. It's by Flanders Fields, and we went to the Flanders Fields Museum, and it was a really cool museum. First off, for your entry thing, they don't give you a ticket. They give you this little guy. He's like a wrist bracelet guy, and the poppy part, this part right here, has like a chip thing in it, and so you scan it on stuff. You scan it to get into the museum, and then you go in, and you know how like I think it's the Holocaust Museum in DC. They have like a thing where you go and you put your name in, and it like personalizes your visit with people that you were related to or something or whatever. They have that at this museum, and so you go in, and every time you find this box thing with like it's if you look at it from the side, it looks like a face profile, and you go up to it, it's got this little hole, and you look in, and it's got this screen, and you scan your little doodad, and it pops up with a story about someone that somehow is connected to you. Like, first off, I got a guy that was my age who died in the war, and they told me a little bit about him. And then later on, I got a guy who ended up moving to South Carolina, and then from South Carolina moving to North Carolina. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Anyway, so yeah, no, and it was a very very neat museum. There were a lot of disturbing things in the museum, but I guess war in itself is disturbing, so it makes sense. Anyway, so then we went after that. I needed some sort of upper, so I got a waffle. And then the ESP guys gave us a dinner at this restaurant called Markt 22 or Markt Vande. And, because I don't know how to say it in Dutch, sorry. And, it was really tasty. They had really, really good chocolate mousse. Oh my gosh, the chocolate mousse for dessert was fantastic. Like, could have eaten a whole pint of it by myself, like Ben and Jerry's ice cream. Anyway, so that was the visit to Ypres and Tyncott Cemetery, and it was cool. Oh, and we went on a double decker bus, and I totally got to sit on the top in the front. So like in front of like the windshield that is the front of the top of the bus. It was really cool and kind of scary because you'd look down and you'd be like, does he have enough room? Is he gonna make that turn? Oh, okay, he made that turn. He didn't hit that sign or anything, so okay. It was really incredible. Our bus driver is really fantastic. Like, I don't know who he is, but he can do his job. Anyway, so that was that. And then on Thursday, because that was Wednesday. Then on Thursday night, a group of people were like, "We're gonna go salsa dancing," and I was like, "You can go salsa dancing in Lille? What?" And because I was gonna be there, and so we went to this like bar called La Latina, and there's salsa dancing, and it was awesome, and it was so much fun. I really, really enjoyed myself. And then Friday, I had to get up for classes, which I didn't want to do, but I did anyway. And um, anyway, so yeah, so classes were classes. That's fine. And on Friday for my arts class, we actually went to the Palais des Beaux-Arts, which is the art museum here in Lille, and had class at the museum. Like, we had a scavenger hunt, and we had to go around and search for stuff, and then while she split us into groups, and so while we were doing the scavenger hunt in another group, she was touring around the museum. And when I say she, I mean the woman who's teaching us the classical art, like painting, sculpture side of our French arts class, not Garrett, who is teaching the cinema side. And this woman that's teaching the painting and sculpture stuff is awesome. First off, she's really, really, really pretty. Like, beautiful. And then she's speaking in English, but she has such a thick French accent. Oh, I love listening to her speak. Love it. Love it. And she's knows what she's talking about, so it's really great. Anyway, so that was lots of fun. And then I went and I got on my train to Brussels. Yeah. So I'm on my train and I sit down in my seat and I find my correct seat and everything this time because, I'm kind of a pro at this now. And then this really cute French guy sits down next to me. And then as I'm about to like turn and say hello, this older woman walks up and she's like, "Excuse me, you're in my seat." And he's like, "Oh, sorry." And he moves. And it was sad. But, oh well. Anyway, so get on the train, get into Brussels, and I go to find the information center so I can get a map. And it's closed. The information center is closed. It's like, okay, granted, it is about 7, but still, the information center in one of the main train stations was closed. So I had to go buy a map from the Rally, like, magazine, blah, blah store. So I bought a map, and I figured out where my hostel was that I was staying at, and I stayed at the Van Gogh Hostel, otherwise known as Chab. At least, I think that's how you say it. C-H-A-B. I pronounce it Chab. Anyway. So, the hostel is, like, really far away from the station, like, opposite sides of Brussels. And I was like, it is raining outside, and it's cold. I'm not walking all the way to my hostel. That is not happening. It's just not. So, I take the metro to the station closest to my hostel, and I locate my hostel. Yay me. And I walk in, and there are these two Hispanic girls at the counter getting keys and stuff and signing in. And so I wait my turn, and I sign in, and it turns out that we're all going to the same building, and we ended up all staying in the same room. And these two girls are from Argentina. There's Maria and Macarena, and they were really super nice, super, super nice. And they asked me to help them practice their English, and I was like, okay, sure. And they're like, we'll teach you some Spanish if you want. I'm like, okay, why not? And we ended up going to dinner together, which was really nice. And they were super, super sweet. And then after dinner, we went to the main part of the hostel, which has like a pool room and like a bar and stuff with really cheap beer. We're talking like €1.50 for a beer. Hello. Anyway, I did not drink a lot. Thank you very much. For those of you thinking that I'm not an alcoholic or a drunk, I did not drink a lot of beer because I had to get up and see stuff, on Saturday. So anyway, so this is Friday night, and we go over and we're hanging out in the like hangout area, and then we meet these two Brazilian guys, one named Hiob, and then the other guy named Felipe, and they're really really nice. And Hiob actually taught me how to play pool like correctly because he's like almost a professional pool player apparently. And he didn't speak any English. He spoke to me all in Portuguese, and I'm like, I sort of understand what you're saying, but your gestures help a lot. Awesome. Anyway, so that was really cool. And then I ended up meeting this girl named Pia, who's from Sweden. Yes. And I just wanted to make sure I got that right. Anyway, but she was really, really cool. She was very nice. And her English was really great, too. I was kind of amazed. But after talking to her, she spent a year in Australia, so now it makes sense. Or it made sense. But she was very, very cool. She was also pretty good at pool, too. We were on a team. We played a couple rounds of pool as, like, team partners or whatever. And, yeah, she was really cool. And then I met this other girl from Chicago. And I, unfortunately, do not remember her name. But she was very nice. And it was very funny because Felipe found out I was American. He's like, oh, your friend from America is here from Chicago. She isn't here. And I'm like, oh, I have a friend from Chicago. Okay, cool. And so he like introduced us. He's like, she's your friend from the United States. It was really awesome. Anyway, so and then I met two guys from Spain. One named Santiago, with whom I played pool, and he was very nice. And then another guy named Tony Newman. From Spain. From Spain. He's Spanish. I don't know about the name. It's not a very Spanish name at all. At least I don't think so. Anyway, I'm pretty sure he was from Spain. I know his friend Santiago was from Spain, definitely. And they were chilling together, so I just kind of assumed that they're both from Spain. Anyway. Yeah, no, anyway, so that was like super, super fun. And I had a really good time. And then the hostel gave you free breakfast. And you know Becca is all about free food. So that night, went to sleep in my hostel room. And I had a mixed room too, so I walk in and there are like two guys already on bunks asleep. And most of the bunks had already been claimed, so I ended up with a top bunk. So it was cool, I guess. I felt bad because I like jumped up on my top bunk and the guy underneath me probably like hated me because I was making a lot of noise. But I mean, it's a hostel. I don't know. I felt kind of bad for being, well, I thought it was overly loud, but I really couldn't help it. Anyway, because there's no way to make the, like, mattress not squeak. So, that was interesting. But then, you get up in the morning, you get dressed, you go over to the main part of the hostel and for breakfast and stuff, and you get bread with like cheese and meat and then some cornflakes and then coffee and juice. And it was pretty good. It was not bad at all. And, there were a lot of people there. There were a lot of people at the hostel. It was I had no idea that many people stay at hostels, but I don't know, I guess, it's the thing. Anyway, so I left the hostel after breakfast with my map, and I went exploring in Brussels. And it was fun. It was lots and lots of fun. So first I found my way to the Grootmarkt, which is like this like flea market type deal that was set up all day. It was really cool. And then